Hello and welcome to this demonstration of eLibrary Manager, an application that lets you read and manage ePub books on your Android devices. This application consists of two main components, the Library Manager and the ePub Reader. I'll focus on the Library Manager to start and move on to the ePub Reader after that. Use the scan function to find and load ebooks from your SD storage card into your library. You can scan the entire SD card or choose individual selected folders instead. Track progress of the scan in the notification area, where you can see a running total of books that are added or updated. On completion of the scan operation, eLibrary Manager has extracted book information from the books it found, allowing you to see that information and generate book lists based on it. Book information includes things like title, authors, categories, ratings, and series, to name a few. It also includes custom information properties you may have defined using a tool like Calibre. View book lists using the action bar at the top of the main eLibrary Manager view. Select the list you wish to see using the sorting options of your choice. You can sort lists based on any book information properties that are available in ascending or descending order. Use the Display Options dialog to view book lists with different layout options. Choose between the list layout or a grid layout. Group books based on various criteria to organize book lists in different ways. Group by category, by series, or by author. Use the breadcrumb navigation bar at the top of the book list view to return to the top-level group list. View information about books in your library. Here you can see the cover image, title, authors, categories and description for a book, and more. You can control what properties you wish to see through the eLibrary Manager settings, which I'll get to in a few moments. Update book information for virtually any property. Depending on the data type that a property has, a customized dialog is available to edit any book information property value. Perform ad hoc searches to display on-the-fly book lists using the search feature. The simplest way to search is to just enter one or more terms to find books related to those terms. By default, any book that contains the terms in one of the title, authors, or description properties will be included in the book list. You can compose more complex search expressions by targeting specific properties, combining different search terms with and, or, and not, and more. See the online documentation for details on how to build complex search expressions. Create, update, and delete custom book information properties. As an example, I'll create a shortlist property that I can use to flag books that I might be interested in reading soon. Note the possible data types available for book information properties. You can find out more details about what each one means in the online documentation. Create, update, and delete saved book lists. Continuing with the previous example, I'll create a book list to display books on my shortlist, using the custom property I just created. I can specify that I wish this book list to be sorted using a specific property, or leave it set for the default behavior, which is to use the sort criteria currently in effect. In order to have access to the newly created property and book list that I just created, I need to update the eLibrary Manager settings. I'll cover the details of the settings view more completely in a moment, so I'll make those updates without comment for now. By updating the book information for one or more books, I can add them to my shortlist. Now we have a new book list on the action bar called Shortlist. Customize eLibrary Manager to suit your needs. You control what book information properties you want to see and want to use for sorting and searching. Set the information properties, search properties, and sort properties to include only the book information you're interested in. The action bar in the main eLibrary Manager view reflects the book lists and sort properties that you specify here. If you have a very large library, you can limit the book list result size if necessary, either for performance or aesthetic reasons. Now I'll highlight the features of the ePub reader that is bundled with this application. The ePub reader screen layout consists of a title bar showing the title and authors for the book content area, and a paging bar at the bottom of the screen. The paging bar contains buttons for moving forwards or backwards in the book. Move one screen at a time, or scroll quickly by pressing and holding a button. The paging bar also contains indicators that inform you of your location in the book. On the left, see the total and current screen numbers for the current chapter. Screen numbers per chapter vary based on device screen size and formatting options. On the right, see the total and current page numbers for the book. Page numbers per book are fixed and do not vary like screen numbers do. As an alternative to the navigation buttons on the paging bar, use swipe gestures on the screen to advance or reverse the book. Swipe and hold scrolls quickly. Pinch in and out to decrease and increase the font size. I can't demonstrate that here since the emulator I'm using doesn't support pinching. Jump directly to a specific screen number or page number. Tap the screen location label to launch the Go to Screen dialog. Navigate to any location in the current chapter from here. Enter a screen number directly. Use the forward/reverse buttons to increment or decrement the screen number, holding the scroll fast. Or use the scroll bar to set the target screen. Similarly, tap the page location label to launch the Go to Page dialog. Navigate to any location in the book from here. Capture annotations in ebooks as bookmarks, which can have optional notes and highlights. Use the Annotations view to manage annotations for an ebook. You can also access the annotations list from the context menu for the book entry in the Book List view. Search for occurrences of a string of text in the content of an ebook. Navigate between screens with search hits using the Next and Previous buttons. Look up the meanings of words or phrases using the Dictionary Lookup feature. Select the lookup source from the list of available entries. Please note that Internet access is required in order to use this feature. Customize the dictionary lookup sources by adding your own or removing existing entries. Please refer to the online documentation for details on how to do this. The ePub reader keeps track of a history of recent book positions in case you need to return to a previous screen or you need to navigate through recent positions. One example where this can be useful is to return from a footnote that has no return link. Let your Android device read aloud to you using the text-to-speech enablement in the ePub reader. Reading starts at the position from which you launch the action, or at the beginning of the screen text if you launch on white space.
The relevant data on this operation, as recorded in various logbooks.
The reader synchronizes book position with speech position, moving from chapter to chapter until it reaches the end of the book or until you pause or stop speech. Toggle between 1 and 2 column display using the appropriate context menu option. If more than 2 columns is desired, set the columns in the ePub reader settings. We'll look at that in more detail in a few moments. Easily access the book table of contents. The Contents view provides a nested presentation of the book table of contents entries and sub-entries to any level of depth. View information about the book you are reading. This action displays the same book information view that we saw earlier. Export updated book information and/or annotations for ebooks to a human and machine readable file. Use this file to make use of that added information outside of this application. Configure the target folder for export files using the ePub reader settings. We'll look at the settings in more detail in a moment. You can also access the export feature for a single book or for all books in the library from the book list view. Synchronize book positions between Android devices when you start reading on one device and continue on another. This allows you to pick up easily where you left off. Customize your e-reading experience. For setting values with an entry field, you can either enter an update directly or use the predefined values that are available for convenience. If you are familiar with HTML and CSS, you have the freedom to enter any valid style value, so feel free to experiment. However, in most cases, the predefined choices should be sufficient. Set your preferences for text alignment, for line spacing, for margins, for number of columns. Column numbers can be any integer value between 1 and 10. For font size, and for fonts. I'll refer you to the online documentation for details on how to install additional fonts. If you're not satisfied with the default font size mappings that are in place, update the values more to your liking in the Font Sizes tab. Set the target location for export and book synchronization files in the Export Sync tab. This is the location where such files are created. For book position synchronization, I suggest using a file synchronization application like Dropbox or SugarSync to manage the file transfer between devices. The synchronization file is called ebooksync.json. The Advanced tab contains settings that you should not normally need to change, so I won't touch on that here. Please see the online documentation if you are interested in finding out more on those. That's about it, so thank you for listening. I hope you found this talk enlightening. Everything I've shown you in this demonstration is documented online at kpwsite.com, so please feel free to go there to find out more. Thanks again, and goodbye.